I and some of the women who I was working with were trying these very complicated strategies to be productive, and using these special planners or these special systems, or okay, well, what if while I'm doing my red lines, I make these calls on something else, right? And how do I kind of squeeze more into what is? And there was really a more fundamental solution, which is, what is in the first place? What am I doing? What are the highest level, most important things that I need to get done? And then how do I actually say no, or say not today, or say later to something else? And this is where women's unique challenges with taking back your time comes from, because when we set those boundaries, when we make those choices, when we say no, we're actually triggering all kinds of pushback. We're triggering pushback because we like to see women as nurturers, women as the people who take care of other people's needs, women as the people who are always focused on what someone else needs. I see this in women who I work with who are struggling to manage in a way that actually takes work off of their plate instead of just making them busier. And what happens sometimes is they're over preparing the people who they manage and coddling them even a little bit, instead of, here's what I want, come back to me if you have any questions, right? Giving other people responsibility to solve their own problems, letting them make mistakes, and then helping them learn from those mistakes in order to move forward, letting them be responsible instead of taking responsibility for things that are not ours to take responsibility for. I hear it with women who tell me that they feel like, as opposed to male project managers in their offices or in their companies, they are being asked to be project mom. They're being asked to, one woman who I recently coached said that she'll give people assignments and they won't even bring notebooks, and they'll come back to her and they'll be like, wait, what was that assignment again? And it's like, Shake your head if you're like, hell no, no way. But a lot of the time these things are happening and we're not realizing them because we're stuck in the day-to-day. We're stuck in the day-to-day. And if we decide that we're going to push back against them, then we're actually needing to do some inner work to really push back against our fears of not being liked, our fears that say, hey, I got here by being really, really valuable and always being that person who did all of the details and made sure that everything got done. And, if I stop doing that, will I actually stop being valuable, right? It means that we actually have to do inner work on inner critic, fears, deep down fears of not belonging, not being liked, standing out, being mean, being, a 5-letter word in other people's minds. And it also means that we've got to push past inner resistance to getting clarity and making decisions. And when we're stuck in that time scarcity trap, when we're so busy, we actually have less bandwidth to actually get clear about what ultimately needs to happen, what's ultimately going to drive results, and therefore what could drive some results, but not the most important results, or what we're actually going to do with our time. So in a lot of my programs, I actually have people plan out what they're going to do and put it on their calendar, because I know that if you're not going to do it now, it's going to fall off your list. You're going to end up with I just gave a talk yesterday and I said, okay, what is your next step? What is your step after that? Right? It's the baby steps, because if we can take the time to make decisions now, we can save ourselves from when we're stuck in that scarcity trap. So it's a little bit about making clear decisions now, but it's also about facing fears, facing inner critic stuff, facing, pushing back against internalized bias and real bias, right? Sometimes people don't like to hear no from women. And so what might happen to you is you might say no, and they might say, what? And then it's learning new strategies for upholding that boundary or that no, right? If this woman limits her time, this woman who's managing people who are not taking responsibility says, great, I'll be around tomorrow afternoon if you need me. Make sure you have everything you need from me now. And if that person comes to her the next morning, it's like, oh, I forgot, really saying, okay, well, I'm going to be busy until this afternoon, so you'll have to move forward on what you can move forward with until I'm ready for you, right? It's hard to maintain those boundaries. So, all right, I want you to stop and think for a minute. Is this happening to you? Are you getting stuck in not maintaining those boundaries? Are you getting stuck on these fears around likability, right? Fears of saying no? Are you getting stuck maybe because you're not stopping to get clarity now so you can move forward a little bit more on autopilot later when things get busy? What is happening to you?